Yeah. But anyways, um might as well get to the next thing. So this is getting definitely we're kind of changing course here. We're going to talk about the other things you do, or the other
Mhm.
thing you do. That being, so I know you do animations, models, tutorials, stuff like that for your channel, but you do streaming as well. And I was talking about this a bit earlier. When did you
Mhm.
get into streaming for your
Uh,
channel?
Streaming. So I've kind of always had this little bit of a admiration for streaming. So even back in the day in like 2014, I often watched like a few YouTubers I liked who would stream occasionally. It just seemed like a really fun thing. And like back then, like I used to see a lot of like bigger YouTubers, even ones that were kind of small, like only had like 50,000 or so, as like these like really cool people who would you wouldn't be able to interact with much. But then like I learned about streaming, and it's like you can actually interact with these people. You can talk with them. They'll look at the chat and they'll like read my thing, and it's like my thing, and I'll be like, whoa. So I've always had like, anyway, I've always had an admiration for streaming, and I've kind of wanted to get into it for a little while. I eventually decided to do so in 2018. So that, and I think, well, I did one test stream of Okami first, but my first stream that you can like find on my channel, because I have all of my streams that, or most of my streams that I've ever done are on a playlist on my channel. So if you ever wanted to go back and watch any of them, they're there. But the first one I did was World of Light. It was around the time Smash Ultimate came out, and I decided to stream the entire thing. I was going to play all of World of Light on stream, not only just to give myself a means of interacting with my fan base, because at the time I was kind of in an animation drought. I wasn't really releasing a lot of stuff. So I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's easy. It allows my fans to know that I'm still live, ask me questions, talk with me, stuff like that. It allows me to play games that like I've been wanting to get around to playing. So in that case, it would be World of Light. I wanted to play that on stream. I also wanted to like document my first experience of World of Light. So like see my first reactions to all of it. But yeah, from there, obviously like getting started out with streaming, I was like incredibly nervous because I'm actually like despite what you might think from me being like incredibly talkative on some of my streams, I'm actually an incredibly shy person in real life. I don't tend to speak a whole lot, but I think I just kind of entered this like zone whenever I start streaming where I can just talk, like look at the game and the chat ideally, see things that come in, answer them, keep talking, and just kind of go off on tangents and stuff, which in this case I think tangents are actually a really good thing for streaming because it gives you more stuff to talk about for a longer period of time. But yeah, so anyway, started with World of Light, went from there to other games. I know I also did the same thing for Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. I streamed the entirety of that. I did a Wind Waker randomizer. I played Luigi's Mansion twice. And yeah.
Oh yeah, I know the Luigi's Mansion pretty well. That's like the iconic stream I think of you for. And maybe a little bit of Wind Waker and Fire Emblem, of course. Like that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
How it was actually yesterday, wasn't it? You were streaming Path of Radiance again.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. That certainly was something to keep me entertained for the day. I really liked that. I'm glad that it went a lot better. I think you said it was one of your better streams in quite some time, or not really.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess Luigi's Mansion was pretty great too. I think that was like a few weeks ago. Pretty crazy to think that. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree with you about the shy thing. I used to be, I still am like that. It's hard to stray away from it. I was a lot like that in middle school and still am kind of like, it's hard to really reach out with other people, but I think the nice thing about the internet is it allows you to get out of that shell and you can interact more with people. Like I actually am a little nervous at times still to talk with people and get to know them, and it's hard to really get to understand them. But I think once you get to know them, like what's happening here with us, you talk a lot more, you find the people you can be open with, and then you start to branch out more, and it kind of helps you get out of that shell more and more, which is nice. And it's good that streaming is helping you do that. That's pretty cool. Funny you say that about the World of Light. That was kind of, I streamed a while ago. Like I wanted to streaming was like my first thing I wanted to get into for content creation back in 2014. and I didn't restart it until 2018. And it's funny because World of Light was one of my first streams I did when I was restarting things, which is pretty fun. I never did complete World of Light until like a year later after the game came out, but I just kind of did it for fun. And it's kind of interesting how you said about how that was like your start there. Sorry, I tend to lose my train of thought when there's so many things we're talking about. But I think that's pretty interesting how World of Light was your start and you were thinking of going along with like, I think streaming definitely is like, it tackles the stuff you don't do, like Let's Playing, or you get to, it's kind of like you get to review on the spot or something, like you get to get your thoughts out there about games or just interact with the fans. That's what I think the nice thing about streaming is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's certainly cool how I like how you name your streams, you know, like mission for Kirby Air Ride, like go to the city and I don't know, don't die. I don't think that was a title. I was trying to think of one, something like that. But I like that how you're like mission, complete the hidden mansion or something, or you know, I think you can just say mission, have fun, or something like that. But that's really cool.
Yeah, that whole mission thing started as a kind of a joke in Let's Go Eevee, because remember earlier when I said I used to be like very critical of the way like Pokemon Society is supposedly structured, you know, around like battling and catching Pokemon and Pokeballs and stuff like that.
Yes.
So there was this joke. The reason how that whole like naming convention started up is I was streaming Let's Go Eevee, and in Let's Go Eevee there's like a condition that needs to be met before every gym that you go into. So like you'll go in to the gym and it'll be like, you need to have a water type to enter this gym. So we got to like the poison type gym. I don't remember the exact name. And the condition there was you need to have 50 Pokemon registered in your Pokédex, or you need to have caught 50 Pokemon. And that, like, of course, I was like making a big deal out of that. I'm like, this cannot stand. So I that stream ended, and then I made the entire stream, like next stream was about how like we were gonna wage war on the poison type gym and like take it down and all that type of stuff, like rebrand it and stuff like that. So I named it like game Let's Go Eevee mission take down the gym, and from there I kind of just rolled with that naming convention for my streams.
I like that. It's cool having like a little inside joke or just something that's a recurring thing become a staple. You always think about how these big channels get like, trying to think of one, and I'm not gonna think, but they get like this like idea and it kind of just rolls with like a joke for the channel. And I think it's kind of like almost hard to find something like that. And it's cool how you have something like that. Like, you know, the mission thing is the title. And I think that's what makes your streams really unique. Like I find it like it's almost like, you know, making a big deal out of what that is, and I don't mind that. But it's something that it's hard to find for channels at times. I think it's like that's where you start to go somewhere once you figure out like that joke that can be recurring and it's actually really good. That's where you're actually getting somewhere, and it's really cool. I really like the streaming aspect of your channel. I think I like it. I think I definitely have been more into it than, you know, all your other content. I think it's because you just stream. I think probably if you weigh them together, you stream a lot more time-wise than, you know, your animations and stuff like that. But I think I enjoy those because I actually can interact and talk and stuff like that. And I think it's one of your streams. You're one of the streamers that actually talk way more than I should. Like I feel bad because I always post like these massive things as much as I can for the character limit. Sometimes I have to delete a little bit because only 200 characters. But I feel bad because on streams I always talk a bunch and you have to like sit there and stop. And I think there was a lot of people that were talking yesterday, but I think I was one of the reasons why you were saying like, all right, we're going to be ending soon. We're almost at the end of the chapter. And you went on for like another half an hour, 40 minutes, close to that. We were just talking, but that was pretty cool. Interacting with the viewers and stuff like that.
I would much rather have, like, please don't worry about, like, I'm saying this as a thing for you. Please don't worry about saying too much on my streams, because as I think I said yesterday, I would much rather have, for me, streams are more about the interaction and getting to talk with people aspect. So like if things have to slow down a little bit for me to catch up on the chat or talk to other people, then I'm probably gonna do that, like, cause that's more important to me than like getting through the chapter, because like I can play the chapter anytime I want, but like I'm only going to be streaming the chapter like once. So like, and it's the things you guys say that make like the stream important. So it's not like what's happening on the stream that's going to probably stand out, unless it's like something super crazy gameplay wise. It's like it would on your guys' end it might be like my commentary, and on my end it's some of the questions you ask or some of the comments you bring up. So it's those things that make the stream it brings the stream alive. So please don't worry about like saying too much.
Yeah, I tend to also, that's another problem about me, where I tend to like worry a bit too much or just say something like that. But yeah, thank you for saying that, because I do like streams where I can like be expressive and stuff and just talk about really anything. And it's cool seeing you have quite a few viewers as well that seem very interactive. Like I know Icy shows up, Ben's another one. It's really cool seeing just, you know, all those other viewers as well just talk about stuff. And it seems like you certainly have a nice little streaming fan base that, whether they just attend for your streams or your other content, they're there to ask questions about that kind of stuff. I think that's really nice how you actually have something going for yourself, streaming wise. And I hope you keep streaming whenever you're free. I know you're pretty busy with college and stuff like that, and really just real life stuff in general. And I'm glad I'm able to interview you right now. But you know, do it whenever you feel free and good to go. But it's nice to see that once again you have a nice little following for streaming, and at least people are showing up more. Because I know you said sometimes people, that one stream, I think it was Path of Radiance, nobody really showed up. And it probably was just a day where people were busy. I don't even remember when you streamed that last one you're referring to. The last one I saw was in September. That's when I was free, unfortunately. The other streams I saw, Luigi's Mansion one, I think something else as well, but I didn't see the other Path of Radiance one because I think I was busy at the time. I probably should have showed up because it probably would have made me feel better.
That's good.
But yeah, that's really cool. Anything else you got to say about that?
I was just gonna say, I guess regarding the Path of Radiance thing, is like the reason why you probably didn't see Path of Radiance for a while is because, again, it was just probably a really busy or slow day. But I kind of either interpreted or misinterpreted that as like, oh, I guess nobody's interested in watching me play Path of Radiance, because as I'll talk a little bit more when like regarding Fire Emblem, I tend to be incredibly slow with Fire Emblem because typically I like to play with the whole permadeath thing. So like it's one of those things where it's like you if you make a mistake, someone dies. So like it's I was kind of afraid. I sometimes am afraid about streaming Fire Emblem because I'm thinking that my audience will think it's too slow or that nothing's going on or they don't know what's happening and they're just seeing like a bunch of people stand around as I like go over like and I count numbers and stats and stuff just to make sure that like this character who could get hit by this 15% hit attack by these two 15% hit attacks won't die if those two attacks hit, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah, I know how you feel about that, where like it can definitely happen where you think nobody likes the game you're streaming because nobody really shows up or is not very interactive in the chat. That's happened to me sometimes where it's just a slow day where there's only like one or two, maybe no people at all that show up to your stream, and you just feel like, all right, I'm just not gonna really say a lot. It's good to keep going though whenever possible. I know it's you tend to like look at like, you know, all right, people tend to look at like these statistics a bit more than they should, and they tend to. It's always a good idea to still look at that, but sometimes it's obviously good to do what you feel like is best. Like, you know, if you know nobody's gonna watch my streams, probably shouldn't do them as much, or don't do this game, or just something else, or look at the data. It's a good idea to do that. I tend to be a bit more stubborn and just kind of keep doing things, and it can tend to end up hurting me because I just kind of like keep doing it, even if nobody's really watching the stuff. But I really gotta understand when to like cut it quits or change something. But yeah, I definitely understand. Like I really just watch your streams in general. Like I don't mind. I really like the GameCube stuff especially, but I don't mind really what you stream. I pretty much like a wide variety of genres, and I was surprised to see. We'll get into this a bit later, but I was surprised to see you as a Fire Emblem fan. You were surprised to see me as a Fire Emblem fan as well. But
yeah.
Anyways, let's get on to the next one since we're gonna get into Fire Emblem stuff. Right, I have to get this over with. But anything else you got to say about your streaming? I think you answered that pretty well.
Okay, one last thing, and I'll just say this again for your sake. Right now, my streaming schedule is every 2 weeks, Saturday 2 p.m. EST. So
Okay.
so if you just keep in your mind or put on a calendar somewhere that like every other Saturday I'll be streaming, then that will probably give you the bet. They'll probably lead you in the right direction more than not. Like there are some times where I probably will have to skip like a week, but just like keep in mind like every other Saturday at 2 p.m. is when I stream.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely am trying. That's another resolution I have for myself. I'm trying to make a schedule, and I wouldn't mind fitting in your streams into there just to make sure that I'm able to watch them, and I make sure to get my work done, or maybe I just want some time to relax or something. Because they definitely are fun to just talk about and express stuff. Whenever you just want, I just want something to do, or anybody else really. But thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
But anyways, though, let's get into the next question then. So we're going to talk about video games. This is just something really about you. I want to put this stuff in there just because I want to hear, because obviously video games is a pretty big part of your channel you do, your life, and I'm sure you can agree with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. 100%.
But anyways, though, how did you exactly get into video games? Like, you can tell a story about really anything. I think you mentioned this a bit earlier with some games, but really talk about anything about like how they mean to you in life, or just really anything. Just start off with talking about how you got into them.
So my story with video games kind of goes a really long ways back. I think I got my first console was a GameCube. I think I may have only been like 4 or 5 years old at the time, but basically I think it was like my fourth birthday, and like my parents introduced a GameCube to me, and they had 3 games with me at the time, and they were Super Mario Sunshine, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Luigi's Mansion. And I ended up playing Super Mario Sunshine first, so I often consider that to be the first game I've ever played. So anyway, I started off with that, but after and then I got interested in some other games as well. So like Melee, I thought was really fun at the time. Luigi's Mansion, I watched the intro, got scared, and didn't pick up the game for a few more years after that. Yeah, it was, but yeah. So anyway, the other thing is that like even though Melee was one of my favorite games at the time, I didn't actually have access to it for very long because you probably shouldn't have a 4-year-old playing a T-rated game, but
Right.
yeah. So eventually I got a few more games as time went on. So like Mario Party 4 was another one that I remember very fondly in my younger years. What are some other ones? There's a Scooby-Doo game called Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights that I have very fond memories of. Kirby Air Ride was actually a game that I think my family got as a replacement for Super Smash Bros. Melee, because Kirby was my favorite character back in the day. Which I ended up liking Kirby Air Ride a lot, so I'm very kind of proud of that. But anyway, I also had a Game Boy Advance. I had a few games on there as well, like Super Mario, Mario Kart Super Circuit. What are some other ones?
You were gonna say? Were you gonna say Super Mario Advance? Sounded like, or no?
Not Super Mario Advance, unfortunately. What else was there? There was Mario Kart. There was Donkey Kong Country on the GBA. I played that as well.
Oh, nice.
Pokemon Pinball was another one, and a few others. But so yeah, I got a Game Boy. And then the Wii came out. I was able to get a Wii eventually. And pretty much from the GameCube point, it's gaming became a very hardcore hobby for me, and I just started to become very passionate about playing games, seeing what they had to offer. To me, they were really exciting. They had a lot of stuff you could do in them. They had, and now even today, I think I kind of respect them even more, because gaming, I personally feel, I guess in my personal life, first, gaming has done a lot for me. It's gotten me through some hard times, but it's also kind of introduced me to well, I don't know. I feel like gaming is often sometimes a more powerful medium than a lot of people may like to give it credit for, because
Oh yeah.
Gaming is like, not saying that other forms of media isn't powerful either, because like media can have a very big influence on how you see the world, and for gamers in particular, like me included, I think it's super cool to look at gaming and like what certain games can kind of like what games you're interested in tell you a little bit about a particular person, or how even playing a certain game can kind of influence maybe your views or perspective on the world. So like again, we'll get more into this when I get to the Fire Emblem section, but I feel like part of the reason I tend to be like a really careful person in real life, and I think part of the reason why that may be is because I love Fire Emblem so much. Because like Fire Emblem kind of encourages you to be cautious about your decision making. It requires you to think things over. But yeah, I could go on and on and on and on about like why gaming has been it's had such an influence on my life. It's even outside of gaming. Again, Pokemon in particular has also had a really big influence, but I might go into that a little bit later. But yeah, I just think that gaming is something that's very very important to a lot of people, including myself, and yeah.
I can definitely agree with that. I can definitely say people need to look at video games a bit more. Like, they don't think it as important compared to like stuff like maybe movies, art, but they got to realize that those aspects, even music, well, pretty much anything really, is put into video games. Like, there's good story made out, art, music, and it's what really makes those games what they are and why you can relate with those stories. I know a lot of different games like Fire Emblem, Persona, Pokemon, Mario, really any game, Castlevania. I'm just looking around thinking about franchises, Shovel Knight. Like, I like a lot of different games, and it's good. I can definitely agree. It definitely shows what kind of person it makes that person.
Yeah.
And it's really cool how the GameCube as well, you were saying about, that's always been like a system that I think it's strange, because people say like the N64, GameCube, like it's it's prominent, but it's not prominent at the same time. Like, a lot of people I know want to get into the game, especially the GameCube, and I know N64. I hear a lot more about the GameCube especially, but it's like a really popular system, but it didn't do very good back then. I'm not sure. I know a lot of the common thing I hear from Nintendo representatives was like people were starting to lose the interest in video games. And maybe it was just a busy time in people's lives. But nowadays it's a lot more different, where people seem to they want to get into a lot more things. But back then it seemed like the portable gaming stuff, like the GBA. If you didn't bring that up, I was curious if you're gonna bring that up, because that was like, for me, I guess it's strange as well. I don't know why I'm really bringing that up. Like, it's weird how people weren't as much in the console stuff, because really, I was kind of the same way the same way for that as well, because I never really got into console gaming. It was kind of weird. I had this strange mindset of like, I'm not gonna stoop to that level. I'm not gonna ever get addicted to video games. Like, it's bad or something. I think I said about this before in one of my videos or something in general, but I was kind of like a stupid, like, childish thing where really, I think deep down I know I wanted to get into them, but it just seemed like everybody else is already in them, so I figured, why not? What's the point of like bothering to get into them? But I did definitely play. GBA was a big part of my childhood, and GameCube, I couldn't get away from that thing. I would see it everywhere, and I don't think I ever had a distaste for it. It was with my cousins. I would hear about it in school playgrounds. I never really had an interest to get into it, because and I guess another thing too, I never really bought, like, I wasn't really open-minded kid. I just kind of like got into franchises like Disney or anything that I was growing up with, and I never really strayed outside of my comfort zone. But that's pretty cool how you grew up with the GameCube, and you got into games like the big ones like Melee, like the ones people always talk about, Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion, which I myself was scared about that. You probably know that as well. Like, I think any kid who is really just in general play that game they grew up with, they tend to be scared stiff more than they should. But it's kind of like that I don't really want to call it guilty pleasure, but like you know you're scared of it and you're gonna have a bad emotions from playing it as a kid, but you want to play that. And I was scared with a lot more games than I should have been. Like, I know the boss battle music freaked me out in Super Mario 64. And I couldn't, so I remember I like had to cope with it and turn down the volume. I was able to play Luigi's Mansion with the volume on, but it just kind of freaked me out playing that game because it was scary, and I never really liked scary stuff as much. But that's interesting, I gotta say about.
It's funny you mentioned like being scared of a lot of stuff. I feel like if you're a little bit younger, it's more like I feel like that you can be it's easy to be scared of a lot more things in games when you're younger. So for example, there was a lot of things in a lot of games, including like Super Mario Sunshine, that used to scare me when I was younger. And I would often avoid going to certain parts in a game, and I'd be like stuck in a certain area because I didn't want to go over in this direction because like there's something scary over there. So for example, in Super Mario Sunshine, like I think this is a really good example. So like while Super Mario Sunshine was the first game I ever played, I kind of had to go through, it actually took me like 8 or 9 years to beat Mario Sunshine because kind of a combination of my younger self being scared of certain parts of the game and like not actually knowing what I needed to do to beat the game. But like, for example, of like this kind of like layered space system. So like, I'm not sure how much you know about Super Mario Sunshine or like how the game is structured, but like
Quite a bit.
Okay, so like there's that like that area at the beginning of the game on the Defino airstrip where like you spray something with water and like the giant piranha plant comes out of like the goop, and like that used to scare me, so I put the game down a little bit after that. Then I finally got the courage to go up against that, but now there's an even bigger piece of goop right in the middle of Defino Plaza.
Oh.
And that scared me for a while, so I just kind of ran around the town, not going to, just avoiding there because like there's scary jellyfish over there. And then there's like in like Rico Harbor, there's like those little like wind things that like just spawn and like whack you occasionally. It's like, oh, I don't want to go up on the things because there's gonna be those scary wind things there. And
yeah,
I don't
wind
know.
spirits, I think they're called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like it was an experience. Like I know this is kind of a tangent, but it's like I feel like being scared. I think it's even part of the experience, like when you're younger, being a little bit scared of something that might show up in a game. And in a way, I think like even if it is a younger person, like the fact that like they made something that can scare you or can make you feel happy, again, the power of video games, that they can do something that makes you feel happy, makes you feel excited, makes you feel sad, or makes you feel scared. I just find that incredibly fascinating, like in any form of media, movies, video games, etc. Just like the fact that you're kind of conveying something on a screen or on using a controller or immersing you in this world enough that you actually care enough about this world, or it seems real enough to you that like you actually feel emotions for what's going on. I just find that really incredible. Yeah,
I can definitely agree with you there. Video games, they're more impactful than a lot of people may think, and they can make you feel a wide variety of different emotions, whether they be fear or just inspiration or some sort of like level you didn't really expect to relate with, even though you know a lot of these scenarios can't really happen. A lot of the stuff is fiction. I don't think, I think like non-fiction is something that is still a thing, but I don't mind either or. But it's definitely something that gets people's creativity flowing because it's more of like the fiction area. And I you know, obviously I think it's caused, you know, I think both, I know I can agree, I'm sure you can agree as well, that it's caused us to like make YouTube channels and be very creative and expressive, and probably stuff that we would need if we didn't have video games. We wouldn't be able to like kickstart our careers, or definitely would be doing something else. But yeah, about that actually made me kind of relate with you about the Super Mario Sunshine thing about running around Delfino Plaza, because you just kind of you can't really progress the game, so what else can you do than explore the open world, or as much as open as it is, than going to that area that scares you. For me, I was going around Princess Peach's castle in Super Mario 64 DS because Bob-omb Battlefield it scared the crap out of me with how many surprises there were everywhere, just bombs going off and the water balloons falling. Like that was like really strange because you're in the middle of a war zone there. But yeah, Super Mario Sunshine, that game I played it before Odyssey came out. Like as soon as I got done with Galaxy 2, that was 2010, I think it was. I like 2 years later I got into Sunshine because I really wanted to, thanks to Smash Brothers Brawl, I really wanted to get into all these other games, and Sunshine was one of those. Before it was like, I guess you could say, famous or infamous. As much as people like, I don't know why Sunshine tends to be that game where people say it's not the greatest, which I can't agree. There are faults with it, but at the same time, 64 is a little more blatant with how many faults there are than Sunshine has. But I like Sunshine. I have trouble picking a favorite 3D Mario game. I think I respect Sunshine for what it is, and it definitely is a more challenging Mario game, whether that was intentional or not. But I think that's interesting how it was your first gaming experience, because it sounds like, both on like a physical and emotional level, it was hard for you to really play the game because it took 8 to 9 years to actually finish it. Finally, have you actually 100%ed it? That's what I'm curious about.
I've done it twice. Once was on stream.
That was funny you said that. The same thing for me. I've done it twice. It feels actually, people dread it so much, but I almost kind of find it fun at times how some of those blue coins, they are really not fun to do, along with some of those shines, especially that boat with Yoshi, and then the pachinko machine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of painful things with that game, but I think it's almost like that aspect. I feel like it's a little more special because it's kind of like that joke I have where the sanity coins, that's where it came from. I kind of just randomly called them that in a Let's Play episode. And one day randomly I just felt like, all right, I'm going to 100% Sunshine because I know everybody hates 100% of that game. So I just did it. And then it kind of was my inspiration to start Let's Playing, even though it was like a later 3D Mario title I played. Like I grew up with it in my mid-childhood years. But it was something where like it almost makes me feel kind of bad. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like this like bad that society makes you feel bad for, is like, oh, you didn't grow up with it, so you're like, you didn't grow up from like kid, like like a 5-year-old to like 20, like you're not the same. I got the game used at a GameStop only because I was interested in stuff because of Brawl at like the age of 12 back in 2012, and I was like, oh, I want to get all these GameCube titles and Luigi's Mansion, and it was that GameCube just felt like that little diamond in the rough in the sand that I wanted to experience, but I've been just kind of putting it off, and I'm glad I did because I can at least consider it part of my childhood. But at the same time, it's kind of weird because like I didn't really, I did grow up with it, but it was kind of like a hand-me-down thing. I don't know. Like when I think about it, though, other people will say maybe I'm just being too hard on myself, but I think it's really cool how you actually like pretty much the earliest you can, like earliest memories. You played that game, the GameCube, and all the other pretty great stuff.
It was fun, and I probably wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for the GameCube or just Nintendo games in general.
Yeah, I definitely could say the same. Like even though I branched off to other type of games, I have soft spots for some other games, but I think Nintendo is one that you can. It's kind of like Disney. Like it's you can compare it to a lot, but like it's like that iconic thing, and a lot of people grew up with it. And they can definitely say it shaped them who they are to this day.
One last thing I wanted to mention, just because you mentioned this a few times, Brawl. Brawl in particular I have a pretty special spot for Brawl in my whole gaming experience, because I kind of used Brawl as a foundation to like learn about other video game franchises. It was mostly Nintendo back then, but I used Brawl as kind of a basis to learn like what are some other Nintendo franchises like, and like even to this day, a lot of the games that I often play, because like personally, this is just me, I tend not to play a lot of like indie games, though I do play a few. A lot of the games I play were dictated by the characters that were in Brawl. So I was able to learn what Earthbound is because Ness was in Brawl. I was able to learn what Star Fox was because Fox was in Brawl. Kirby I already knew about, but yeah, there was a lot of interesting things in Brawl that kind of caught my attention, and it kind of led me down this like into the games that I was interested in.